Churchill tells me you're the best meteorologist in the country.
Get me the latest readings from every single base within 2,000 miles of Normandy. The invasion's confirmed for Monday.
Are they all like this?
We are faced with a succession of 2 aggressive storms.
Are you absolutely certain?
D-Day will be calm and sunny.
I couldn't disagree with that more.
That was a look at the new film Pressure, based off a 2012 play of the same name. It takes place during World War II and follows the fateful 72 hours before D-Day, when 24,000 Allied troops landed on the beaches of Normandy on June the 6th. But the events we know almost didn't happen on that day. That's because of meteorologist Captain James Stagg, whose readings of the weather patterns and expertise changed the course of history, literally changed the course of history. And with us now, BAFTA and Screen Actors Guild award-winning actor Andrew Scott. He plays James Stagg in the movie. Thank you for coming back. It's great to have you here.
Great to see you.
You know, at the beginning of the movie, your character comes off very arrogant.
Yeah.
And very brusque. And then when he crosses Kay Summersby, you're like going, no, don't do that. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
But you do find out as the movie goes on, it's the only way Ike would have and Monty and everybody else would have gotten the bad news they needed, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, you know, I always talk about the difference between a good person and a nice person.
Right.
You know, and he's there to do a job. He's not interested in ingratiating himself with anybody. And I think, you know, he wanted people to listen to what he was saying rather than how he was saying it. So, yeah, he definitely was brisk. I kind of like those cinematic characters who...
Oh, right, yes.
You know. Straight talking.
Straight talking, but again, the importance of it, talk about the pressure that this meteorologist... I guess we should back up.
Yeah.
Why was this meteorologist there?
Well, they needed a forecast in order to do this huge military invasion. You know, they needed the right conditions and they needed great visibility. So everybody assumed, because of the time of the year, that it was going to be the weather at the time was pretty sunny and great.
Right.
And they said we need a weather forecast, and we assumed this. You know, it's just a fait accompli. You're just going to give us the forecast we want. And he was like, no, that's not the way it works here. Weather in Northern Europe is very changeable, and I'm not going to give you what you want to hear just because you want to hear it.
Well, and he was also, as Ike found out, he was Churchill's, Churchill told him, best meteorologist in the country, right?
Yeah. He was a great expert and terribly passionate. So it's sort of a little bit about, you know, speaking truth to power and having a sort of degree of humility and listening to experts. You know, we need.
Well, again, there's so many remarkable players that this meteorologist from England had to confront. He had to stand up not only to Ike's favorite meteorologist, who had never gone wrong, because, of course, he dealt with static weather over North Africa, right?
Easy to forecast.
It's very easy to forecast that. But also he had to stand up to Ike, who said, this has to go on the 5th. He had to stand up to Monty, who I guess, you know, at that time was
huge
a god.
Yes,
was just a god in Great Britain in the middle of the war.
Yeah.
And Monty just told him outright, right?
Yeah.
We have to go on the 5th. Don't confuse Ike.
Yes, exactly. And you know, this guy had absolutely no military experience.
Right.
But, you know, like, he was incredibly instinctive in some ways, and actually a man full of integrity. You know, he was just like not going to do it. So it's interesting talking about a film that's about the weather, because people are like, okay,
right,
what we like, but actually, you know, weather affects everybody in the world daily, and there's nobody who escapes it. So of course, it's going to be, you know, a huge consideration when it comes to.
And that's one of the beautiful things about the movie is you start off again badly with Kay Summersby, but then one of the great moments is when you two are alone after Ike has yelled at you.
Yes.
And she's talking to you, and you explain. She said, weatherman, kind of boring. And you go, no, it's not boring. And you go into the weather. Why is it sunny? Why is it?
Yeah, exactly. And what they had to do was so extraordinary then. You know, we look at a weather app now and we think, oh, what's the weather going to be like on Saturday? But what they had to do in this incredibly pressurized scenario is they were making, you know, bringing people and taking down things, writing it down in pencil, rubbing it out when a new thing, bringing maps in, you know, really bad lines and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, the actual sheer amount of work that they had to do under that pressure was really extraordinary.
So I'm a reformed politician, so I can always kind of sense when the room is kind of slipping away. And even now, you and I sound like we're convincing people that this World War II movie about a weatherman is exciting. So I think we need to tell them the quote at the end of the movie.
Yes.
JFK's inauguration.
Yeah.
He asked Ike,
Yeah.
Why did D-Day go off well? And what was Ike's answer?
That we had better meteorologists than the Germans.
You had better meteorologists than the Germans, which
that's what he said.
Which really sells it.
So it's that kind of thing that people think. People don't think about the weather in D-Day, but of course, that sort of came into play. And so I like the idea that he's a very typical unsung hero. So it's nice to be able to honor him in this way.
Here's a moment from the film where your character passionately argues to move D-Day back one day.
You can muster all the tanks and soldiers and ships that you like. You can assemble the greatest armada that ever there was, but if you invade tomorrow, they're going to be washed away. Because the storms that I'm talking about are real, and the jet stream that's propelling them towards the Normandy coast is real, and the wrath of nature is real.
The entire moment there in that scene and where it moves is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
But there's something else again that this man was going through.
Yes.
When Ike's yelling at him, Monty's yelling at him, the fate of Western civilization is on the line, and he gets a personal call.
He gets a personal call. So they in the 3 days leading up, he couldn't leave. He couldn't leave the place at all. But his wife is heavily pregnant, and he gets a phone call to say that his wife has entered into hospital and there have been casualties. So, like all great heroes under pressure, he has to make the decision to where he's going to park this on this potentially devastating information in order to do the job at hand. So so there's a personal aspect to it as well. But I keep thinking about the expression pressure, which by its nature is about containment.
Right.
It's about not releasing that. So that's what it is. You keep it all down until the catharsis hopefully happens.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's an extraordinary story, and everybody's going to have to watch the movie to figure out how it resolves itself.
Exactly.
We win the war. By the way,
Spoiler alert.
The new movie Pressure is in theaters starting today. It is an extraordinary film. Award-winning actor Andrew Scott, thank you so much. So great to have you here.
Great to see you.